Hello and welcome back to Pandemic Playground with Dave. We are back with another time-lapse series, more like a multi-type of series. But first, we're going to start off by making an asteroid base, and then eventually turn this into a shipyard, where we'll be salvaging SPRT ships, rebuilding them, remodeling them, and building our own very ships as well. But first, we need a station to start off. So let's get started. Alright, so let's start off with the save file settings. Alright, so for those of you who are fairly new to Space Engineers, especially this new update or the more recent update, click on New Game, not Quick Start, so hit No. Go to Sandbox, go to Start System, and then Customize. Right, because we already had this saved. It's a little different by the look of it, but more or less the same thing. So this is going to be a survival with friends mode on only for the time-lapse purposes. Autosave, no mods whatsoever. So we're sticking to the vanilla style of Space Engineers here. And we'll plug in some mods later down the line if need to. But for the building the asteroid base, we're going to keep that vanilla. And then in advanced settings, pretty much left everything default minus block limit. So we took off block limit so then we could build as much as we can in any way possible. We changed the optimal spawn distance, again, mostly for the time-lapse person, to be able to respawn pretty close to us. Took off auto healings. I'm not a big fan of it. Turned on enable spectator mode. Turned on in-game scripts. And on the very bottom, we took off progression. We took off auto respawn. And we also took off the temporary containers, which more or less sometimes a good thing. I'm not a big fan of it. So I took it off in this case. And that's pretty much it. So that's the save file. Very, very basic. Alright, so we started off with the space pod as it's called. And as you see here, we did a little bit of designing or redesigning of it and left kind of the core structure of it. But of course, a lot of what we did was basically scrap parts of the ship so we can utilize it and build upon. Like building a basic refinery, a basic assembler, all that stuff. where I plopped it on the very top initially, but now they're situated in a much better spot. Here's the basic refinery, and here's the assembler. And it all connects up front through the oxygen tank, the hydrogen engine, and into a small cargo container right behind the assembler. And then it all comes up to be here with the survival kit and everything like that. So not a big change. All the thrusters are still in the same spot. We added a little bit of the solar panels so we have the sun charging up the ship, because the ship is the main power source for everything right now, including what we have so far in terms of the base. So we just throw on a connector, piston, hinge, and a drill initially to start drilling out as much as we can for the asteroid base part. So we're going to do a lot of drilling, as you can see here, but we're going to have to get cobalt because we need large cargo containers in this case. So the ship's going to evolve eventually, but this is good enough for the time being. As long as we have pretty much a power source, which is the solar panels, we could put a whole bunch more because we're going to need it anyways. And the sun is fairly limited because this is actually a fairly big asteroid. And unfortunately, it loops around it. So there's going to be times where we're in the other side of the sun in this case. Okay, so the ship I want to redesign a lot more. I'm not really liking the back of it, but it's more or less going to be mostly solar panels anyway, so we get it charged up. We're going to have to put batteries and stuff inside here so we can get this base operational, have the solar panels kind of stick out in the front so we can get charged up that way instead. But the digging of the base is pretty fun to do, especially when you do it this way with the hinge, piston, and everything like that. But we need a much bigger opening, especially if we're going to make somewhat of a shipyard. So it is going to have to be redesigned eventually. And this here welder was mainly for welding up the platform on the floor instead of hand welding it with my very rudimentary welders and grinders and things like that. But yeah, this is going to evolve. But the base has no power whatsoever. It's just basically connected to the space pod. And of course, in the time lapse, you saw that it did two kind of iterations in the front. First, we did a piston with a collector where I hand drilled pretty much the hole initially, so we could collect all the ores and everything like that as quickly as possible. And that worked out to a point where it just became not as useful. So once we got enough stone, we put on the drill attachment with the piston and started digging a lot more. But we were always limited based on how much space we had, because we only had a small cargo container right behind there and the drill in terms of space. So we were able to get a ton of materials so far, which is pretty good. So this is pretty much a bulk of our materials here. And we're pretty much running out of iron in this case. So the whole drilling out the asteroid is going to help a lot because we're going to collect a ton of stone. But again, the main power source is this ship. So that's why we need more solar panels and everything like that so we can get charged up a lot quicker. But the battery is not that bad. I think there's 2 batteries in here that are pretty sufficient or pretty charged up in a way. So yeah, 2 batteries right here. Yeah, it's about 2.26 megawatt hours, I believe it is. So it's like 6 hours each as long as we're not flying. So that's pretty good. So hopefully we can get this kind of digged out as much as possible with any type of drilling system that we can design. We're going to have to put assemblers in here, refineries and everything like that, and get some kind of connection point with the ship so we can travel around and locate the specific ores that we need. Luckily, and we did this kind of blindly, and we started with a different asteroid, which is a little bit smaller. I think it was either that one or this one, somewhere pretty far away. But we've flown to a bigger one right over here. And without really paying attention to it, we were able to find and locate an asteroid that actually has iron right there. So the iron is sitting inside of the asteroid right over here. It looks like about 16, 17 meters deep, which isn't too bad. So we could like right click drill and then get our ship to do some drilling to gather this as well. Takes a bit of a, yeah, it's pretty in there, I guess. So I would imagine we need to put some more drills in the front of the ship to gather this iron, if anything. Which wouldn't be too bad because we do have a fairly basic refinery, so we can get that as in terms of getting steel plates and everything like that. And there's also, let me get into my ship to show you, cobalt. So there's cobalt 123 meters away from the ship. So it's pretty much up here, I would think. All the way around, potentially right here. About 50 meters away. So that's not too bad. So luckily, we did run to an asteroid that has all this. So we don't have to go too far to get what we need in terms of like stone for silicon, nickel, iron, and cobalt, your main resources that we need. So we are in luck, but it's all about kind of how do we get it all out. And of course, we need to continue drilling this whole thing out to be a bigger home. And of course, you guys all know I love, I always like drilling and using different types of styles of drills. So look forward to that in the next time lapse. I hope you guys enjoyed this new time lapse series, and I hope to get to the shipyard piece quite soon, so we can start designing ships a lot more based on either salvaging ships or based on my own designs. So please like and subscribe. Don't forget to drop a comment down below, even to say hi. And of course, I'll see you guys next time. Bye.